Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to New Life Live. Thank you for joining us. When I say us, I'm talking about the one and only Dr. Alice Benton. Hello, Alice. How are you?
Hey, folks. I'm great. Thank you, Steve.
Well, thank you for being here. You could stay home. You could be with the kids. Walter and the other child's name is?
Walter, Henry, and Junie.
Walter, Henry, and Junie.
Yep.
I forgot about that.
Yep.
It's really sweet. And Milan, Yerkovich. I have no ability to name your kids, but don't even come close. But anyway.
It's great to be here. Glad to be with you.
Thanks for being here.
And Alice.
1-800-NEW-LIFE is the number to get help, but 1-800-229-3000 if you're watching us on Facebook Live. I want to mention to you that tomorrow I'm on Focus on the Family, the crucial role of men standing for life. You can go to our website tomorrow and hear it by clicking on Jim Daly and John Fuller and my picture, or you could just listen to the regular Focus on the Family broadcast. And I'm just so thrilled that it's a re-airing of one they aired before. So really happy about that. And don't forget, July 31st, August 1st, Promise Keepers is online. And I'm telling you, they have the heart of women in mind. You just won't even believe it. This panel we put together with Sherry Keffer and a couple of other people on our network is airing for Promise Keeper men, to tell them the impact of a man's behavior on a woman. And everybody on the panel, all the women, they were educated, degreed, and they all had a story of abuse by a man. It's really a powerful thing. So encourage your man, or if you are a man, encourage your own self to get involved. Promise Keepers, July 31st and August the 1st. Now, I want to do something. I want to just go right to our first caller here in the first segment. Law is calling from Oklahoma City. First-time caller. How are you doing today? Law, are you there? Oklahoma City. Great. How could we help you today? Thanks for holding on.
I was actually calling because I've been struggling with an addiction since I was like 10 years old.
Really?
Pornography.
Okay.
And I'm ready to get rid of it, you know. I've been ready to get rid of it for a long time because the things that I've done has not worked. So I've tried another avenue.
Okay. Hey, how were you exposed to pornography at the age of 10?
Started out being molested as a young kid by a man and a woman. And, it just went from there. It just kept on going on and on. Not as far as molestation, but as far as pornography.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And you said you've tried some things. What have you tried?
I tried to abstain from it. Of course, I get up and I pray whenever it comes to mind. And sometimes, that it doesn't work. I fasted. It didn't work. So, I would say it worked for a time, but it always seems to come back.
Yeah. All right. So you have called the right place. We're going to give you some help. And I'm really, really glad that you called. It's one of those things where we have to admit that we have an extreme limitation. That we're literally in and of ourselves without the help of God and others. And it's a big point for others because we've been praying to God, but you need the others. If you don't have it, you're just not going to be able to be free of this thing for good forever. And that's what we want to help you with. We'll do that right after this. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. If you need some help, call us right now. We've got people at that number that want to help you. They woke up this morning saying, I want to transform somebody's life.
I'm 433 pounds.
How long have you weighed that much?
I've probably been over 300 at least 15, 20 years. I'm 39. Feel like I've just been a failure in every area of my life.
Does this sound like your story? It doesn't have to. The weight we carry on the outside is often a result of the burdens we carry on the inside. If you want to reduce your inner burden, New Life's Lose It for Life online workshop can help. The workshop features 6 main sessions presented by Steve Arterburn on topics like obsessions and compulsions and rethinking fitness, plus small group sessions led by a credentialed New Life Network counselor. This one-day online video conference workshop takes place Saturday, August 1st. If you're finally ready to stop going from diet to diet and begin a comprehensive plan that incorporates the latest research, practical steps, and biblical truth for achieving long-term success, call 1-800-639-5433 or go to newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We are back. Steve Arterburn here. We're talking with Law, and he struggled with porn, molested at age 10. He's done different things, first-time listener and first-time caller. But Alice, let's start. Alice had a statement to make about you, Law, and I wanted her to share that with everybody.
Well, Law, I was singing your praise off the air, and I want to do it here publicly, because for you to have the courage and the humility, Law, to call a radio show and try to seek answers you've never been able to find before because you want to live your life a different way, in a more godly way, I deeply respect what you're doing here in this phone call, sir. Can you tell me how that impacts you hearing that from me?
All I can say is that it's nothing but God. You know, I had to be both ways because of all the things that have transpired in my life. And so I just learned to just step out on faith and just, tell the truth. So when you say that, I know that, it's the right thing and it's going to help someone else.
Law, we have such good additional news for you, because there is a structured path through your struggle. And part of it will be tied to the trauma that you have gone through. And I'm sure there's much more than what you've already told us, but just what you've told us is more than enough. What kind of structured help have you already gotten for the sexual trauma and the other trauma you've experienced in your life?
Sexual trauma, not so much. More of the other trauma, I've just been seeking out counsel, finding like-minded people as well.
Law, what has kept you? What has kept you from the sexual trauma when you're so willing to talk about it here with us?
Could you elaborate on that question?
Well, you're here confessing to us. What has kept you from seeking the structured help for the sexual trauma you've gone through and then have struggled with all this time?
Oh, just at first it was fear of someone knowing, what had happened to me when I was young, and it actually didn't happen at 10 years old. It happened earlier than that. 10 years old is when the porn was exposed, but it was just, just being afraid of what people thought about me,
Well, you have called into a community here of men who are willing, like you, to admit and to confess, and you find out that you are amongst a great number of men, probably most men, who have struggled with pornography and perhaps even sexual trauma as well. And I want you to know, you have most likely been trying to get your legitimate needs met, your emotional needs met, in an illegitimate way, which is through the pornography. And if you will get that help of other men, in groups of men that are working on their purity, and the professional help of the sexual trauma that you have gone through, you will find a lot of resolution through that path. And then through the structure of something like Every Man's Battle that we offer, you get equipped. And so with the right information and then the right people around you, you're able to finally put into practice what you've been trying to learn all this time.
Milan, anything you want to add to what Alice has said here?
Law, I'm just blown away by your call today. I mean, it is so cool that you're calling us and you're being so transparent and open. I think Alice is really right. This is something that all men need to learn to deal with, and there are some who do and some who don't. And I love that you want to do something about it. Three things. I was going to say exactly what Alice said about trauma rehab of the sexual trauma. It's not about you, what people would think of you. It's about what others did to you who were evil. And evil abounds on this planet, and evil happened to touch your life at a very sensitive time. And for somebody to take the time to go there with you and to help you with that is very important. Number two, community is going to be very important in overcoming a habit that's been with you for decades, or I don't know how old you are, but since 10. A community is going to be the way to do that. A lot of guys try to come out of this by themselves, by not talking to anybody about it. But one of the things about Every Man's Battle is there's this group of people, a cohort that you can stay with for a year and talk every week. And it's amazing to have that community. Lastly, we really have to pay attention to the role that pornography has in our life. By that, I mean, what does it do for me? And for a lot of people, when they are overcome somehow with overwhelming emotions, anxiety, fear, or they're scared, they don't know what to do, they feel paralyzed, whatever, they turn to porn as a relief from those feelings. In other words, it plays a role of providing relief to some very vulnerable feelings on the inside. When I can learn to take those vulnerable feelings and share them with somebody else and allow them to love me and comfort me, that can begin to take the place of, which is God's intention, by the way, that allows me to put in something that will take the place of pornography, as opposed to just sheer abstinence, where I'm not doing anything other than trying to hold my breath and hang on. I'm taking the emotional needs into relationship. And that's how we heal, Alice and Steve, when we bring our real self into relationship.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you called, Law. And, I was just reading today about in the beginning of the creation of the 12 steps, all the people went to the Oxford groups. And that little group had a belief. They believe that all of our problems are either caused by fear or selfishness. Well, if that's true, then, your problem was caused by a very selfish person abusing you, or two people. But look, if it's true about selfishness and fear, then it has to be true about our problems being maintained by self-centeredness and fear. We're afraid to be found out, or we're afraid to do without whatever that thing is that we have, that we've come to depend on, like Milan says, for the release. We're afraid of it, or we're afraid, like you were saying, of what people are going to think of me. So there's fear. And then the selfishness, it could be thinking that I have the ability to solve this on my own. And we just are so self-centered. We believe we can power down and make it happen. And yet the people that surrender are the ones that find the victory. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to see how we can get you to participate in Every Man's Battle. I'm going to send you the book. It's just the 20th anniversary with all the revisions is in it. I'll send it to you, Law. But I want you to get into Every Man's Battle, and you will be so amazed at the progress that you can make in just 1 year. It's going to blow you away. So hold on. We're going to try to help you, and I hope there's a scholarship for you if you're not able to afford it. Let's go to Johnny. Greenville is where I can't see the state, but listens on Sirius XM. Johnny, what state are you in?
That's North Carolina.
Greenville, North Carolina. All right, how can we help today? What's going on?
Well, this is a good topic today. I've been sober 27 years, and I facilitate a substance abuse program at my church.
Wonderful.
And one of the things that I've run into is a lot of Christians have the belief that once you have been delivered from substance abuse or whatever it is that you're struggling with, that you're free from it, you're done.
Yeah.
Well, my background is Alcoholics Anonymous, and I still go to meetings there. And my belief is it's like Paul's thorn in the flesh, and I don't know that I'll ever be quote. I'm cured one day at a time in my heart. I'm cured one day at a time, not once and for all, or I may turn. I just want to know what your thoughts are. I just want to know what the panel's thoughts are about continued programs.
Okay, I got two questions for you, Johnny. I've got two questions for you. Ready?
Okay. Yep.
And these would be questions that I would hope you would ask the people that say, once you're delivered, that's all you got to do. Have you ever known any person delivered out of alcoholism or drug addiction, instantly delivered into being a person of character and a role model for maturity going forward? Have you ever seen that happen ever in your entire life?
Well, actually, I do have a friend that does not go to meetings and is not in any type of follow-up, and he's a follower of Jesus Christ, and yes, he is.
Okay, but he wasn't instantly. He wasn't instantly that person.
Right, I agree with that.
And some people will become so involved in the character building part, they get discipled. They're essentially, the 12 steps are based on the Bible, so they're doing biblical work. It's just like when you make restitution, that's a biblical concept where Jesus says, leave your sacrifice at the altar and go make it right with that person. So there are some people that are growing in character through the church, and some do it through both Christ-centered and secular meetings. My wife been recovering 20 years, and she goes to both secular and Christ-centered meetings. Because if Christians don't go to the secular meetings, who's going to go there? Here's another question for you. Have you ever known a family to be, when the person is delivered, were they delivered of all of their bitterness, resentment, anger, and hatred sometimes over what this person did while they were using? I haven't seen that either. So what I'm saying is, I don't care if you're in a, whatever it is that you've done, the 12 steps work for anything. It's a recovery program. It's a character building program. When I stop on the 8th step and I make a list of people that I have hurt, people that I need to go back and do something with or about, and then, and as according to that step, I ask for willingness to make it right with all of them. I am doing something that, man, that's a character builder. That takes courage, humility, all sorts of stuff. So I really believe that you can't lose by being in recovery because you're developing character. It's kind of a discipleship program, and I think some people are very short-sighted, and they're really hurting versus how does it help anybody to say, once you're delivered, you don't need a recovery program? I think you need everything you can find to help you continue to grow. Milan and Alice, any comment you have here on this issue of do you need recovery?
Johnny, we love your question because the base of our view is that we're all broken and we're in need of lifelong recovery. And I think there are a couple of biblical principles that are almost impossible to do on a regular basis if we're not in small group ongoing community. And I will admit, I don't want to stay in small group. I don't want to keep showing up every Saturday morning. I want to be done with it. But I also continue to face my own sinfulness. And even though I might get over one problem, another one is revealed to me that's probably been there all along. And so God keeps peeling back the layers and asking me to go deeper. In addition, we all go through different traumas and losses. And if we don't have that community that we've built the foundation with that you're talking about, Johnny, then who do we go to? We'll find ourselves alone when the Bible says in so many different ways we've got to confess, pray for one another to be healed. When one falls, the other one helps him up. And these things can't be done well without community. So I'm fully on board with you, even though I don't always want to be.
Well, good. I you've both given me some very good advice for my Christian friends, and I don't blame them for not understanding. But I do wish that they would sometimes point to not a non-alcohol or drug problem and say we need help too, and we need to follow up every day with what it is that is separating us from the love of Christ. But
Amen.
Yeah.
Johnny,
Well,
I still have a hard heart problem. I confess it every single week, and I still struggle with it. So alcohol may not be my problem right now, but a hard heart sure is. So I got to keep showing up.
Hey, I'm going to send you a Life Recovery Bible, if that's okay with you. I think you're going to love it. And in there are some things about defense against people like you've been talking to. We'll take a break and come right back after this.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. I was just commenting on people like Johnny are out there. They've had an alcohol or a drug problem. Now they're facilitating groups. That is transformation.
Absolutely.
While other people are sitting around going, I wonder if I really have a problem. I don't know. I mean, you're at that stage. Oh, my goodness. The world opens up to you when you humble down, surrender to God, and let Him do a great work in your life. You know, the person that helped Bill W., the founder of AA, well, he went by the name of Ebby. And one day he shows up at Bill W.'s door, Bill Wilson's door, and he says, Bill, I found religion. That's what he said. And Bill had only known him as a drunk guy. And so why would he say, I found religion? Well, because it was a spiritual transformation. It was a spiritual experience that he had experienced. And he was part of the Oxford groups, and they led him to Christ. I mean, it's just so astounding how many people miss it when they discourage people from getting involved in the 12 steps that support biblical truth that leads to transformation. All right, let's go to, how about we go to Sarah. Now, Sarah is calling us from Vero Beach, and she listens on the app. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right.
Thank you
How
so
could we
much
help
for
today?
your program.
Oh,
I
thank
just
you.
wanted to say thanks for your program. You have been my lifeline. I'm a called New Life, and I've been listening for many years. But my
Wonderful.
issue is I am married 27 years, or together 27 years, married 25, and my husband and I used to lead the married ministry at our church, and probably for about the last 7 years or so, my husband's just indifferent. We've gone to counseling. We've done some intense counseling. We've gone to intensive. And our marriage, he's just indifferent. He's disrespectful. He's just not in the marriage. I mean, we haven't.
What
had
happened
sex
to
in
him?
probably-
What do you think happened to him that caused that shift?
Well, my daughter got sick, but it happened before. I think he has some issues from his parents. He grew up in an alcoholic family, and he has not addressed his issue. I think when we went to counseling, I addressed my stuff, and we focused on me. I don't think he's ever, I think his heart is shut down. I think his heart is shut down, and he's enmeshed with my daughter. I think his two issues are my daughter, enmeshment with her, and anger.
Okay.
So,
let me throw this over to Milan and have him interact with you and try to give you some help here.
And what is your part in him being angry, moving away from you, and then enmeshing with his daughter, where he's undoubtedly finds some level of consolation? What do you think your part is in all of that, Sarah? Your contribution.
Great question. My contribution is I'm a vacillator. So, and I want a Christian worldview in our home, and that's how we did do life. And now he's kind of chosen he wants to be fun and my daughter's friend and kind of no boundaries. So I probably am more of the police and say I'm not comfortable. But, you know, we have had several deaths, and my daughter was sick for many years. So I was always more the responsible one. So I'm sure that just rubs him the wrong way.
Well,
but he can be fun, just not with me.
Well, you know what? That's a wonderful admission on your part that vacillators are idealistic. They are the ones who want everything to be correct and along a certain line, and then they're very disappointed when that doesn't happen. And so, you know, I ask him a very brave question, and I would say, honey, whatever you call him, hopefully something that nice, and I'm sure you do. What's it like to be on the other side of me? What do you feel? Because a lot of times the rubber band gets pulled and then people snap. And when they snap, they just, you know, what has been true or perceived as true for years, they can't do it anymore. So, you know, Kay Warren did a sermon about, or a talk about 2 years ago. It's called Blind Spots. And it was fabulous because she walked around the church at Saddleback and then asked her husband, what's it like to be on the other side of me? And she said she realized there were perceptions that people had about her. And it was one of the most powerful talks I ever heard. It would be good to look it up and listen to it. And that would be the first thing I would do, Sarah. I would just talk to him. And then you're going to be very sensitive about separation and reconnections with other people. And that's why if he's close to his daughter, that's going to alarm you. It's going to threaten you. It's going to make you feel insecure. And you're not going to like that. It's nice that he can be close to his daughter, but use a very strong word, enmeshed. And so that tells me a little bit as well. I would stop and really ask him, what's it like?
I have asked him.
Yeah.
And he just says that I'm ridiculous, and I think he has given up. I mean, I think he is totally shut down, and so he just says, I'm ridiculous, I'm over the top, I'm too sensitive. I mean, even at my dad's funeral, it's like I wasn't allowed to cry.
Oh.
So I think, so he's probably way over the other side.
Absolutely.
And when I ask, so how I do show up is I show up, he sees me angry, and I'm working on him seeing my hurt, not my anger.
Way to go. Way to go.
And Sarah, does it get bad enough that at times you think of leaving or ending the marriage?
Well, I don't know what else to do because I still go to counseling, but he doesn't. And I asked him to go this weekend, and he won't go to the workshop. He says he doesn't want to do it anymore. He doesn't go to Sunday school. He doesn't mentor with anybody. He doesn't think any of that works.
Hold on. We'll get back to you right after this.
On Friday night, we got into an argument, and I stayed in the car outside for 2 hours. I knew what the right thing to do was to go.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop will be held online Saturday, July 25th.
You know, I know this stuff. I hear it, I read it, and I'm always getting in my own way. I'm always expecting my wife to go first.
Join Steve Arterburn.
We believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Milan and Yerkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship. And then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
And New Life's group leaders will help you focus on the area that will benefit your marriage most. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or go to newlife.com.
My biggest takeaway was to just get out of my way and go first.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening, I got relief.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the Transformation Welcome Gift, which includes a personal-sized Life Recovery Bible, a Life Recovery Journal, and 5 Life Recovery Workbooks. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops.
I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's been immensely helpful to me. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. We're right in the middle of talking with Sarah. Husband and her used to lead marriage groups. Now it seems like he has given up, unwilling to do anything to try to revive, restore, or redo the marriage. Alice, what kind of wisdom do you have here for Sarah?
Sarah,
I want to add one more thing, is he does say if I would just let him lead. So, and he does try to lead, but when he leads, he's very dictatorship. He overrides my decisions in front of my children and is very disrespectful that way. So he says we could fix our marriage if I just let him make all the decisions, is what he says.
That really provides some insight that we didn't have there. Alice, what do you think now that you've heard this? Sounds like he's saying there are some conditions under which I would be willing.
Sarah, my heart really hurts for you that ending the marriage is one of the only things you see you have next available to do, given what you have been living under. And I don't doubt...
I don't think it's the only thing. Okay. I have considered that.
Okay. And given how you describe your husband, he must be difficult to impossible to live with. So I'm sure you're justified in even just the thought of separation or divorce. But I respect that that's not what you're moving towards. You're looking for other options. I'm going to say something that's going to be tough to hear, and it's just a guess. But my guess, Sarah, is that your anger and your criticism is a whole lot worse to receive than you realize it is. And I think you may not realize how abrasive it can be because your position is correct. And by that I mean, I am sure that you are only trying to enforce biblical principles and what is right and healthy for your family. So you're justified in your strong stance. But I'd also imagine, as a vacillator, you probably came from a pretty chaotic home. And I'm sure you are so much better, so much more improved than the chaos you lived under. Would that guess be accurate about your family of origin?
Yes, it would be.
So if you only compare yourself to your parents, I'm sure you are light years beyond the way they treated each other and the way that they treated you. But I think your abrasiveness is still so very difficult for your husband and probably even for your kids to swallow. Now, I don't doubt you have done this, but when we're in a situation like this where divorce or separation is starting to look like one of the options, something that we have to try is the biblical version of humility, which God always says he will bless. And I bet you've been doing this already. But I would ask you to consider, and even get a friend to help you who can give you difficult truth, to start listing out how you probably pushed good values too hard and too strong and were too critical when your husband and your kids fell short. And if you will take that to your husband, you can agree with that?
Yes, I can.
Oh, Sarah. Then there's so
That's
much
huge.
hope, sister. There's so much hope.
Yes,
Well,
there
he
is.
said it is the way I go about it, what my intentions are well, but how I go about it. But I will say on the other side of that, he's been very abusive and dismissive and destructive after that. So he doesn't always approach me in the right way, and I want to do it well. I do want to
Sarah,
do it well.
would you give us the worst example of his abuse?
He shot me birds in my face in front of my kids. And I asked him to please not do it, and he did it again. And he told me that I'm crazy. And he told me, no wonder my kids don't want a relationship with me.
How hurtful.
And he says it all in front of the kids. And then if I say you can't go to the concert, he'll say right in front of them, yes, you can go to the concert.
Yeah.
So, but I do think...
Go ahead.
So, and, he's had road rage. He's left me in the movies. He shut me in the closet.
So Sarah, there are definitely two avenues that you must take. And if you're already taking them, go further along this route. One is to offer him your humble confession that you're accepting you have been very abrasive with good values, and that you want to tell him that and listen to him, but it's got to be in the presence of a third person because things break down between the two of you, both your fault and his. And so offer that to him.
He won't go anymore.
That's okay. But you got to offer it. And even if it ends up just being a letter that you write and give to him, you have to do that for the cleansing of your own conscience and your own side of the street. But the other side has to be boundaries. So it's an acknowledgement of what you've done, but on the other hand, it's what you have decided not to tolerate anymore, especially because of how it affects your kids. Good. Then you're well on your way.
I've done it. I have apologized to him. I have apologized to him for the things I have done, and I've tried to do it differently. And I do set boundaries. If he starts name calling, I say I'm going to have to leave the room. So I have done that. Okay. I just think he's dead. I think he's a dead fish, and he's not interested. I think that he wants to rule the roost he doesn't want my opinion. He just wants to rule it all.
So Sarah, let me give you another.
Sarah, listen to Milan.
Let me give you another word.
Okay.
I love what Alice is saying, what Steve is saying here. But there's another word that's very important. It's the word emasculated.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, it does. But when a man is emasculated and they don't feel as though they have any weight or power, and then they're angry, Newton's third law kicks in here. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. He went from the compliant guy teaching classes with you to the angry person who's not going to tolerate one thing you say. And so there's a defiance. But I'd like to suggest that one of the most difficult things for a vacillator to do is to let their spouses lead because they don't do it right. And so they have to correct it. And so they disqualify the leadership that their spouse attempts to exert because they don't do it the way they would do it. And that is a big problem. And that's why we have to pick our battles. But I want to give you said he's a dead fish, that he's disconnected, he's pulled away. And then all of his behaviors are an attempt to establish something. And I'm not saying that what he did is right or how he's treating you is right. I'm not advocating that. I'm simply saying there's another word to think about. It's an important one.
Well, Milan, I can't stress enough how vital I think that is to restoration here for Sarah, because sometimes when a man is asked the question, why aren't you there for me? If he was truthful, he might say, because of you, there's no me here anymore.
Right.
I have been removed as a man. You have emasculated me, and so when you don't see me here for you, you have destroyed the man that was here for you. Now, is that right that he would react that way? Well, we're just talking about reality. This is how it happens. So when you decide it is not acceptable for me to criticize this man, it is acceptable for me to love him and try to understand him. While I still have healthy boundaries, over time he will see a shift. You know, we say, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? You know, and some people are so focused on being right, they make everybody miserable. Well, look, you can be to him the way you've always been. And you're going to get exactly what you've got, and you're going to get it from your kids too. I believe if your children saw a change in you, a radical change in you, they'd be saying to him, Dad, have you taken a second look at Mom? She is not the same person. She's open to you. She's loving to us. Her rules that she so rigidly tried to enforce are not important to her anymore. Give it a second look. Well, Sarah, I hope and pray something we've said has meant something to you. I think you said you have How We Love. And let me just send you this little book that John Townsend and Henry Cloud wrote, Growth Has No Boundaries. And it's a great book for you to do your own work with, and I can't encourage you enough to get into some counseling there. Anybody else, if you want a copy of this, a gift of any amount, and I will send you John and Henry's new book, Growth Has No Boundaries. We'll get that to you. And so call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Steve, I do want to also say that what Alice said was very important, that this whole situation has wobbled so far, and both people are behaving in a way they shouldn't be. And we need to have the boundaries that say, you know, I'm willing to talk with you, and I'm willing to work with you, but I won't tolerate this behavior, that behavior. Right. And we have to protect ourselves. And so that is very important to set boundaries in the middle of these conversations. So I just want to reiterate what Alice was saying.
All right.
Do you know this is the #1 couple statistically researched to come into counseling? The vacillator and the avoider are on such opposite ends of a spectrum of skills and needs and desires and hurts and histories and what they require. It's the #1 couple to come in.
I'm about 100 pounds overweight. I'm 30 years old, and I'm just really discouraged. I'm scared. I don't want to fail again.
Does this sound like your story? It doesn't have to. If you want to live free of obsessions and compulsions in your eating habits, New Life's Lose It for Life online workshop can help. The workshop features 6 main sessions presented by Steve Arterburn on topics like the importance of connection and relapse prevention, plus small group sessions led by a credentialed New Life Network counselor. This one-day online video conference workshop takes place Saturday, August 1st. To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go online to newlife.com. If you're finally ready to stop going from diet to diet and begin a comprehensive plan that addresses the psychological, emotional, and spiritual aspects of a healthy lifestyle, call 1-800-639-5433 or go to newlife.com.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many
tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, and when we were talking with Sarah, her husband was unwilling to come this weekend to intimacy and marriage, but if you have any willingness on the part of either of you, please come. If you're thinking of divorcing, do not divorce until you come to this, because most likely you won't divorce after you come to this. It's that transformational. It's the marriage intensive. Please call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Let's go to John, Washington, D.C. WAVA is the station. Hi, John. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. How can we help?
Well, I have a question. I think it's a little complicated, and I'll try my best to be quick. So It involves my mother and my ex-wife.
Okay.
Well, we are still technically married, but we have been separated for a year. We don't really see each other. Very, very rarely do we communicate. We just text. She's bought a house. She's gone.
Okay.
Gone.
It's a horrible situation.
It is a horrible situation. Thank you for acknowledging that.
So what's the question for us? I don't have a lot of time, but I did want to get to you.
Yeah. So my mom carries on a relationship with my ex and carries this attitude that, she's still my daughter-in-law. And it makes me feel betrayed because a little more background too is that, it was my wife's choice to leave. She was the one who didn't want the marriage, didn't want to be involved. And so
John, what would you say is the number one reason she didn't want the marriage anymore?
It was a very long time that she didn't want the marriage. I believe that she saw me. I've called before, back before she left, I've called you guys about that. But she was, I just think she had one foot in and one foot out.
But John, if I asked her, why did you leave John? And she gave me a one-sentence answer, what would she tell me?
Well, I don't know that you would get an honest answer from her. So if I were to answer for her, I would say that the money had a lot to do with it. She got a lot of money by leaving. She is able to kind of do whatever she wants now with whoever she wants.
What was her biggest complaint against you that you're aware of?
She didn't love me.
But John, but why? What was it about you that rubbed her wrong?
She didn't like the way I just didn't like anything about me, I suppose.
But at one point she did. At one point she did. And
perhaps, or maybe at one point, she wanted to have children. I know that.
And did you two have children?
Yes, we have 3 children. Yes.
So we don't have a lot of time, but let's see what we can do here in a situation like this. Alice, what are you thinking?
John, I don't know quite what to say about this, John, but it is problematic that you struggle so much to answer the question of why she left. And so maybe it does or it doesn't relate to your mom, but I think you've got to figure that out. You've got to narrow that in so that you can get healing and live a happier life after that. And it sure does complicate it, that not only is she your wife and still legally your wife, but she's also the mother to your mother's grandchildren. And so although you feel betrayed, I don't know that you can ask your mother not to have relationship with the mother of her grandchildren. And so here's what I would suggest to you, that you can certainly take the betrayal to your mom, especially if she's a safe listener, and you can just express that this is a betrayal and it hurts every time you hear about it. But then, John, I think you have to grieve this, because it's going to be an ongoing relationship between your mother and the mother of her grandchildren.
You know, I do know people that would certainly support your mom in saying, hey, she is my daughter-in-law. In addition to that, the mother of my grandchildren. So I think if you could change a little bit there, but also I would be asking my wife, what was the most, you went from we got married to nothing. What was the thing that was the biggest problem that you think I need to be working on? And then I would go to work on that. I'm going to send you Every Man's Bible. I hope it will help you in that growth process. Let's go to Larry Sonnenberg. Larry, let's talk about our financial situation here and ask people to support this ministry.
Yes, sir. We have announced earlier this week that the end of this month, July 31, is the last day of our match, but I'm believing that people will match it so we won't have the last day to announce. So I just want to encourage you to help us make a gift. This is a recorded program. A couple of days ago, we were a little over $30,000 needed. So please make a gift. Help us match that. Please also join Club New Life. We just need consistent support. We've been getting it. Club New Life members, thank you so much. You have been the real stalwart of support during this COVID crisis that just keeps going and going. And we just need some more, because general gifts are dropping off. Club New Life is not dropping off, but general gifts are. So the more we can get some folks to sign up and give monthly, the better off New Life is going to be.
All right. And we'll send you a copy of John and Henry's book, Gift of Any Amount, Growth Has No Boundaries. We really do need your support. Sometimes we have major fundraising events that raise major funds for the ministry. Well, we can't have those events. We can't draw those people in because of the COVID virus. So we really need you. If you believe in this program, if you believe in transformation based on God's truth, we need your help. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Please call us. Milan and I will be busy this Saturday, and we would love for you to join us. Intimacy in Marriage Weekend. I really do believe it could solve so many of your problems, because a lot of times we've got one person who's angry, one person who's defensive, and they can't even express real love and emotion for those big old emotional bricks there. This ministry will help you this weekend to get rid of all that stuff and then start to come together in a heart-to-heart relationship. Milan, I think one of the most important things is this comfort circle. And a lot of people have never even heard of this thing, and it's a lifesaver.
It is just the application of 4 biblical principles, and God promises to bless us when we do what He says. Yeah. Not just to hear it, but to do it. So we learn to be self-aware, to speak the truth in love, to learn to listen. The Bible says, be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. And then we learn to comfort or provide some resolution that allows the other person to feel seen and heard, whether we agree with them or not. And that is just a powerful piece of building a relationship. And then, Larry, you were going to share something about that.
I got a testimony here. A man wrote this. I realize marriages require work. He was at our last workshop. I've avoided programs like these when my wife would suggest them earlier in our marriage. I know now she was right on. We should have started working on strengthening our relationship right after the honeymoon. And he goes on to say how committed he is. But I wanted to get that out there because so often it's one of the two that want to come to the workshop.
Yeah.
And there's a resistant spouse. And if you're a resistant spouse, consider humbling yourself and coming anyway.
Yeah. We can all work on willingness to see ourselves, willingness to do whatever it takes to get better. 1-800-NEW-LIFE if you need some help. By the way, next weekend, Lose It for Life, and the weekend after that, Finding Freedom. Call us, 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for watching New Life Live on our New Life YouTube channel. You know, you can see it anytime. Hope you'll subscribe, and when you do, hope you'll turn that little button thing on, the bell, so that whenever we post a new video, it'll ring right through. Now, if you go to newlife.com, you'll see the schedule of when we're in the studio, which is helpful to know if you have a question for the program, or you could go to newlife.com or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You could do this on the app. I mean, there's so many ways that you can stay in touch with us and know when we're there, because we want to answer your questions. So thanks for watching right here on the New Life YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Click here to subscribe.